Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nisha Charachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye Arthato Pyadvayanandan Ati Tadvaita Bhanatah Gurunaradhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. In the last session, we had seen a recap of the first chapter. The three main topics of the first chapter were Pramana, Anubandha Chatushtaya, and Guru Upasatti. Under Anubandha Chatushtaya, we had Sadhana Chatushtaya and different types of karmas. All of that was described. Now we start the second chapter, a bird's eye view of what we have covered. Second chapter, the topic is Adhyaropa. So with our Sadanand Swamiji said, the teacher is going to teach the student with this technique of Adhyaropa and apawada. In fact, this is the only technique available for teacher to teach. He cannot teach about the supreme reality as an object. Kenopanishad, that is what the Upanishad Rishi says, na vidmaha, na vijanima. We don't know how to teach about Brahman like this is Brahman. Go and find it somewhere. We can only teach it by superimposing some attributes on top of this Brahman that you already know, and then removing it once you have shifted your attention to that pure consciousness. So both is responsibility of teacher. One is to do Adhyaropa and then to do apawada also. But the beauty of this Adhyaropa is, in and through Adhyaropa, lot of sadhanas are mentioned, lot of questions that we have about the world, that is mentioned. Questions we have about ourselves. What is this mind? What is this intellect? Where did this world come from? All of that is logically answered as though to quieten this mind. But you should remember, actually speaking, Vedanta is not interested in answering all those questions. What is the final culmination point? That there is no world, there is no jiva. There is only pure consciousness. In that consciousness, I should abide in. But a systematic process is followed, and that is the process of Adhyaropa and apawada. So Swamiji started describing about adnyanam. He said the first anatma, the first avastu, the first not self, which is superimposed on this self, is primordial ignorance. He doesn't start with gross world. He starts with adnyanam. And very precise definition was given in the 34th verse. What is adnyanam? He said adnyanam, one of the things is it is indescribable. What it is, in what way is it appearing? it's very hard to determine. But we can definitely say it is made up of 3 gunas. In the effect, we see 3 gunas. So in the cause also there should be 3 gunas. So Trigunatmika. And he said, will this ignorance continue forever? No, it is jnana virodhi. When knowledge comes, ignorance has to go away. And I should train my mind in such a way that this knowledge can come first. I can absorb this knowledge without my own coloring, and then reflect upon it and come to gain abidance in this knowledge. That is why definition of adnyanam is important, because our whole pursuit in Vedanta is to remove ignorance. Whatever we do, whichever sadhana we do, whichever shravanam we do, the final goal is to remove ignorance about ourselves. That's why Puja Gurudev called our yajna as jnana yajna. One is dravya yajna, where you offer ahuti into the fire. Here he said we should offer the ahuti of ajnana. In the fire of Upanishad mantras, offer this ahuti of ajnana. So that description was there of what is ajnanam from 34th verse all the way until 48th verse. Now, in and through this ajnanam, one thing which was mentioned was that you cannot dismiss it straight away. Because effects of ajnanam, we are seeing it. In spite of hearing that I am Brahman, in spite of doing so much of shravanam, doing my sadhana, still this world takes over. Erroneous notions take over. So there is nothing we are going to get by saying, if entire thing is mithya, ajnanam is also mithya, then why unnecessarily, try to remove it? You say no, because our goal is not only intellectual inquiry, we want Paramananda Prapti in life. That is why Ajnanam Swamiji said, Yat kinchit. Yat kinchit iti vadanti. There is something called as Ajnanam, keep it at that. Don't go too much into it. Then Swamiji introduced a very unique concept of Samashti and Vyashti. Under this Ajnanam concept only, Ajnanam topic, he said this ignorance can be looked at in 2 ways. One is total ignorance, which is functioning at this cosmic level, and another is individual ignorance, which is functioning in Jiva's mind, Jiva's intellect, and so on. Or rather, Jiva's mind and intellect is a result of that Ajnanam only. So he said Samashti and Vyashti. So Samashti Ajnanam along with consciousness. Samashti Ajnanam along with consciousness is Ishwara. And Vyashti Ajnanam with consciousness is Jiva. Okay. But what is the difference between Ishwara ignorance and Jiva ignorance? Or Ishwara Upadhi, the conditioning, and Jiva Upadhi. He said Ishwara Upadhi is very, very pure. Although it is made up of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, predominantly it is Sattva. Not only Sattva, it is Vishuddha Sattva. Bhagwan never gets ignorant for that matter. He is never ignorant because he is Adi Guru. He is the Guru of the Gurus. So first Guru cannot be ignorant. Right? After that, whoever has come from the same lineage. So later on you can say, okay, this Guru was ignorant before and then went and gained knowledge and then got this knowledge. But Bhagwan does not apply to Bhagwan. It says Bhagwan is Nitya Jnana Swarupa. Nitya means always of the nature of knowledge. You can take it from conditioning standpoint also. As consciousness is always Chaitanya Swarupa. But also from conditioning standpoint, it is Vishuddha Sattva. What about Jiva? Predominantly Rajas and Tamas. Not that Sattva is not there. Sattva is there. Now and then it shows its power also. Suddenly he feels like meditating, sits down. Mind also gets absorbed, becomes quietened. He is so happy, that finally after long sadhana, I have sat here, quietened my mind. Right the next moment, mind goes somewhere else. What is there for breakfast? Rajoguna will come. Or sometimes Tamoguna overpowers. He does not feel like doing anything. So this, play of gunas is more in Jiva. The good news is that becomes our sadhana. What Bhagavan Krishna told Arjuna, Nitya Sattvasto Bhava. Try to be in Sattva Guna as much as possible. Keep all your inputs sattvic so that your mind remains sattvic. That is the sadhana of Jiva. But over here, Swamiji just distinguished both of them as Samashti and Vyashti. Samashti means totality, Vyashti means the individual. So this adnyanam functions at two levels, he said. And then we saw different implied meaning of this Samashti Vyashti concept. VedantaSara is a technical Vedanta grantha, but we should apply it in our own lives. So many situations we are part of where we feel I am an individual, but around me there is a totality. So what is the duty of this individual? To blend into totality, to tune into totality. To ask this question, what can I do for this Samashti? What about you? He says that you don't worry. My well-being is taken care of in Samashti's well-being. And what are the examples we had seen? Family, for that matter. So family is Samashti, individual is Vyashti. So what is the duty of family member? Now this duty, we should not expect it from others. Duty is our duty. What is our duty as a family member? Vyashti. Just think about that which is in the well-being of this entire family. For that, if I have to swallow something, I will swallow. If I have to say something, I will say it in the right way, right time. What is the main goal? How will this family stay together? What is it in the best interest of this family? Now you can think in your own family, whoever has lived a life in this way, haven't they received everything from the family back? Either it be love, respect, care. Did they have to think in this way, okay, I'm taking care of family. Now again, I have to separately take care of myself. Even if there are stressful situations, difficult times, the ability of this person to bear that situation is more. Such a sadhaka who has trained their mind to think about Samashti, it is not that difficulties will not come in their life. It is also not that because they have taken care of Samashti, everybody will be nice to them. But even if certain experiences are challenging, disappointing, the ability to bear that experience is more. Yam hina vyathayante te purusham purusharshava sama dukkha sukham dhiram somrutatvaya kalpate. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, one who can bear this kind of pinpricks, one who can bear these pairs of opposites, that person develops titiksha. That person can forbear more things, and only that person is capable of striving for moksha. Or that person is fit for moksha purushartha. Saha amrutatvaya kalpate. So this vyashti samashti concept, we should keep reflecting. It should not seem like a theoretical topic, or sometimes it seems like an impractical topic, because it is different from what we see in the world. different from what we hear from other sources, social media, news, or even discussions that we have with others. But it is our responsibility to study Shastra, to reflect on it and apply it in the right context so that we can benefit from this knowledge. Two examples were given for Samashti and Vyashti. One was tree and the forest. Tree is Vyashti, forest is Samashti. The main point of giving that example was, actually speaking, it is not only tree and forest, there is space also there. Space conditioned by tree, space conditioned by forest. So that space represents consciousness, the forest and the tree represent conditioning. And that conditioned space represents conditioned consciousness. So over here, adnyanam is the conditioning. Pure consciousness is that unconditioned entity like the space. And then conditioned consciousness, that is Ishwara. Pure consciousness, we should never forget. That is what we want to go towards. Now, Adhyaropa we are doing, the first conditioning we brought was adnyanam. So, upadhi came. Upadhi means conditioning. So, this adnyanam, ignorance came. So, pure consciousness got conditioned as though by this adnyanam. And what was it called? Conditioned consciousness. In Sanskrit, it is called as Upahita Chaitanya. Upahita Chaitanya. Through knowledge, when I understand this ignorance to be just an appearance, what will remain? Pure consciousness, which is Anupahita Chaitanya. Anupahita Chaitanya. So the first conditioning was Ajnanam, and then later will be the subtle conditioning, Sukshma conditioning, then comes Sthula conditioning, the gross conditioning. Okay? All of you are with me, right, so far? Online? Everybody? Good. Another second example was drop and the ocean. Drop is Vyashti, ocean is Samashti. Here also, what was the analogy? Drop and ocean, they are the conditioning. The space reflected in drop, space reflected in ocean. That is the conditioned consciousness as though. And then the space which is unconditioned, that is pure consciousness. Okay, two examples were taken. One to show Avacheda Vada, this one to show Pratibimba Vada. We just saw some basics of these Vadas, but we'll not recap them again. The main takeaway of this part was, this drop has to merge with the ocean. Although as water, there is no difference between drop and ocean, but from its own standpoint, if you take that conditioning of name and form, the shape and size, drop is drop, ocean is ocean. So wherever we need help, so this drop should seek help from ocean. Means Jiva should seek help from Ishwara. Yesterday we saw in Ramcharitmanas class, right, Vishesha ji saying, if this Jiva is Vimukha towards Bhagavan, the agitations of mind of this Jiva can never go away. If Jiva is turned away from the Lord, then this mind, on its own, it will be like that drop, getting fried when the sun is hot, getting flooded when it rains. But if it merges with the ocean, the depth of the ocean comes to this drop. All the gems which are there, they come to this drop. So one level of vyashti samashti vichara is at immediate level, like person and family, individual and work, whatever team we are part of. At the highest level, this vichara will be between Jiva and Ishwara. Ishwara, Bhagavan, who is appearing as his entire creation, not only one person who is sitting somewhere. Okay, so this was about vyashti and samashti. The sadhana part here is in all the prayers that we do. Either it is Gayatri Mantra, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Means in this vyashti mind, may samashti bless with the right thoughts. If we chant this prayer with a deeper meaning and request to Bhagwan, it's even more enjoyable. Simple meaning, Bhagwan, may you bless me with auspicious thoughts. Tanme manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. And if you read the verses of Shiva Sankalpa Suktam also, it will have the same concept. What is this mind? It says this mind is like the spokes of the wheel. Different minds are connected to that total mind, just like the spokes of the wheel connect to the hub of that wheel. So may this mind be turned towards totality. That is the main sadhana. In Vishnu Sahasranama, one of Bhagwan's name is Neta, Samiranaha. Agranir Gramanir Shriman, Nyayo Neta, Samiranaha. That entire line is this meaning. Means Bhagwan is the one who leads all the jivas. And he leads them very well. Samiranaha. But many a times, this jiva, if he turns away from Bhagwan, he wonders, what is happening with my life? Where am I going? Some disappointment is there. He doesn't know. Why has this come in the first place? So there, if he can seek the help of the leader. Neta means the leader, one who is leading all the jivas, he will get a new insight. Just follow the leader, he will take us ahead. Puja Guruji has composed a song, right? Tvam hino neta, tvam hino data, yatra tvam nayasi, tatra gacchamaha. Who is our neta? Final neta is Bhagwan only. And that individual jiva has to connect with his master. So after that came the portion of turia. Upadhi was described, Upahita Chaitanya was described. Now Anupahita Chaitanya. Anupahita Chaitanya means that consciousness which is devoid of all this conditioning. What is its nature? So that was 49th to 50th verse. Nature of Turiya was described. Now, why are we describing three things? Just to show that how mixed up this perception is. There is pure consciousness, there is conditioned consciousness, and there is conditioning. So when we say Mahavakya, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, if I mix up all three, don't separate it out, that is called as Vachyartha. It is still referring to consciousness only. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, or you say any Mahavakya for that matter, if you include conditioning, reference to that pure consciousness is called as Vachyartha. Literal meaning. Including conditionings and conditioned consciousness. If you separate it out, separate out conditioning, separate out conditioned consciousness, refer only to consciousness, that is called as Lakshyartha. This part also we had seen. After that came the power of this ignorance from 51st verse to 56th verse. Swamiji said, this Avarana Shakti, although we call it Avidya, Maya and so on, it has divine power. Devatma Shakti it is, belongs to consciousness, belongs to Bhagwan. Jiva cannot say that. Ishwara can say, even with conditioning, that this is my conditioning. Jiva cannot say, Maya belongs to me, unless that Jiva has understood himself to be consciousness. As pure consciousness, Jiva can make that statement. But without fully abiding in Chaitanya, staying in conditioning, Jiva should not make the statement, this is my Maya. Maya will show its power. Puja Guruji would, in simple words, say, Ishwara is, Bhagwan is Maya Pati, and Jiva is Maya Dasa. So our step is go to Sattva and then transcend these conditionings. We are not interested in controlling Maya. We are interested in transcending Maya. Okay. So what is the power of Maya Shakti? One is Avarana, another is Vikshepa. It will hide and it will misguide. Misguide in a very simplistic way. Don't take it in the wrong way. Sometimes it can also misguide. Ananda Swarupa, it has concealed. And this thought that Ananda is outside, happiness is outside, that it has projected. This much is sufficient to keep us busy. Right? Life after life after lives, seeking for this Ananda, doing karma, getting karma phala, again taking different birth. Because all karma phalas will not be experienced in this body only. So why only look at other jivas and say, if I have to get karma phala of an ant, I will get ant body. You can say if you get karma phala of Swarga, you can get a Devata body. But the thing is, this person has to go through next life, Punarjanma, and karma account, it goes up and down. So he is constantly caught in this cycle of transmigration. That is all Maya has done. That is its power. Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. Example was given that this Maya along with conditioning, adnyanam upahita Chaitanya, becomes the material cause of this entire creation. Material cause is called as upadana karanam. Upadana karanam. And because consciousness is also there, that consciousness is the intelligent cause, called as nimitta karanam. So creation is possible only when both of them come together. Which are the two things? Pure consciousness and ignorance. Only ignorance, it is inert. It cannot do any creation. Pure consciousness is not interested in creation. It has nothing to do with creation. It says creation is an appearance. But when both are mixed up together, both appear together, this entire creation comes about. What is the main point here? That the material cause of creation is pure consciousness. Material cause, absolute cause of creation is pure consciousness. From this consciousness alone, entire creation came about. Chaitanya Purvika iyam srushtihi, natu jada Purvika. Purvika means that which is preceding. What is that at the origin of creation is consciousness, not another inert matter. Because there are different schools of thoughts which say atom is the cause of creation, or some other particle is the cause of creation. Now these are traditional schools of thoughts. I'm not talking about modern science. They have already thought through these things. Vaisheshika Darshana says, Anu Paramanu, the atoms and molecules, they are at the root of creation. So Bhagwan asks them this question: are they part of creation or different from creation? Atoms and molecules, they are part of creation. How can the cause be part of this creation? That means you have to explain its creation also. Right? So he says, creator has to be different from creation. So pure consciousness, that is at the root of creation. So when I see creation, it should invoke a sense of divinity. Okay, that part we had seen. And then finally came the Sukshma Srishti, All the sequential creation, the 5 elements emerged. From them, different sense organs, they emerged. Mind, mana, buddhi, chitta, hankara, all of that emerged from subtle creation. It is not grossified yet. After that, Panchikaranam took place. The mixing of elements took place, and then we got gross creation. And then this gross creation has to be perceived. So sense organs were described. Devatas, presiding devatas, over each sense organ, they were described. So with this portion, we completed Adhyaropa, covered in chapter number 2. Adnyanam topic, Samashti vyashti topic, and seeing divinity in creation. That whenever I see material which is inert, I should remember this fact that it is inert plus consciousness. What I am seeing is inert conditioning, but it is appearing in a substratum which is pure consciousness. Technically, there might be several advanced ideas about consciousness, but for sadhana, this idea is very helpful. Which idea? That wherever I see, inert matter, there I should see consciousness. At least recognize consciousness. Now, don't ask this question: how did consciousness go out? How did it go out? This is Vedanta will come to that point. Vedanta will itself negate this idea that consciousness is not something which goes out and pervades, like this. But in Adhyaropa portion, in sadhana portion, this idea is very, very important. Okay. Now, second chapter was called as Samanya Adhyaropa. Samanya Adhyaropa means that superimposition which is done without too much of thinking. Too much of thinking meaning, you will say, even to come to this point, we needed so much of thinking. What do you mean, without too much of thinking? Means it is easy to accept this point that this world is in this way. Logically, it was proved to us that how did this world come about. About myself also, thinking about myself as this body, I have this all indriyas and so on. Until that point was Samanya Adhyaropa. Now, the portion which is going to come next is called as Vishesha Adhyaropa. Vishesha Adhyaropa. What that means is, for the sake of understanding, let us say there is Ishwara Chaitanya and Jiva Chaitanya. Really speaking, there is no two Chaitanya, but because we have done this Samashti vyashti, for that sake, let us take it as Ishwara Chaitanya and Jiva Chaitanya. In Ishwara Chaitanya, Jagat, world was superimposed. Right? That is what we had seen. Different ideas were brought out. And how did this creation come about? That was spoken about. So in Ishwara Chaitanya, what was superimposed? Jagat, world was superimposed. In Jiva Chaitanya, what all things are superimposed? That is given in chapter number 3. In Jiva Chaitanya, what all things are superimposed is given in chapter number 3. That's why the title also is nice. In English, it says Jiva and Superimposition. Ishwara Chaitanya, there was only one superimposition, Jagat. But when it comes to Jiva, in this pure consciousness, what all different views are there of superimposition? Means erroneously, they have taken something other than this Atma as Atma. That is the main point. Because of error or whatever fallacy might be there in their thinking, they came to conclude that Atma is something which is actually different from this pure consciousness. Now, what is that variety? That variety is given in chapter number 3. But all of them are darshanas. They are not some random people giving an opinion. The ones who have come to these conclusions are great rishis. So one thing we should notice, there is something to learn from each and every rishi. Although we don't agree with, or Vedanta does not agree with their final conclusion, whenever Shankaracharya ji debates with them, he debates with so much of reverence. So that part we should always appreciate and take the good which is there in each of this darshana. And we might think, oh, these darshanas, they were at some point somebody thought about it. But when you study it, you will realize all of us are living in some or the other non-Vedantic darshan. If it disappoints, so be it. But then what is our sadhana? Our sadhana is, at least when we get a new perspective, that sadhaka says, I am ready to evolve. Instead of dismissing Vedanta, instead of calling this as impractical, because when you read it, if we don't have this mindset that I am a seeker of truth, we will feel, what is wrong in this? Putra Aatma Vaada. First one is that. He says, what is wrong in this? Shouldn't we have this kind of thinking? What is wrong in having? We should remember, this is being spoken to somebody who has understood that goal of life is to seek Brahma. Goal of life is to abide in Brahma. He has done parikshanam, analyzed this world. He says, world cannot be my goal. And he himself says, world is not my goal. And what is world? He says, world is a means to reach my goal. World is a means to serve, to purify myself and reach my goal, which is pure consciousness. To that seeker, all these darshanas will guide him to a step further. And the beauty of Swamiji's elaboration is, he doesn't make random points. He will make, or he will mention about one darshana, take us to the next darshana by refuting the previous darshana. That is the beauty. He will give logic, he will give Shruti quotation, and he will also give Anubhuti. What is it called? Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhuti. Shruti means Upanishad mantra will be quoted. Yukti means logic will be given. And Anubhuti, our own experience will be taken into consideration. So with that, he will refute the previous one, then go to the next one. Refute that one, go to the next one, and so on. Okay? Atyantika dukkha nivrutti. That is what all these darshanas are seeking. But through this, we are being shown where not to seek it. They came up till this point and they said, this is the final goal. This is all Atma is. Seek that Atma. Which Atma? This body as Atma. Which Atma? Mind as Atma. Something or the other they have concluded. We say this is not what you are. Okay? This Nyaya is called as Arundhati Nyaya. Arundhati Nyaya means newly married bride has to see Arundhati Nakshatra. On that day, she has to see that Nakshatra, and it is very, very faint. So you can't directly see it. So they take her attention to the brighter stars which are near it. You see this Vishesha Nakshatra, then you see the next one, and so on. And then finally, they make her shift attention to Arundhati. So like this, the brighter stars are these other darshanas. Putra Aatma Vaada I am familiar with. Dehatma Vaada, body as Atma. But the point is, through this, know what you are not and shift attention to what you are, that is pure consciousness. So with that introduction, let us start 122nd verse. Page number 88 in the book. Everybody found? 122. Good? Yes? Okay. Idanim pratyagatmani idamidam ayamayam, idamidam ayamayam, aropayatiti, aropayatiti, visheshatah uchyate, visheshatah uchyate, atiprakrutastu, atiprakrutastu, atma vai jayate putrah, atma vai jayate putrah, इत्यादि श्रुतेः स्वस्मिन्निव पुत्रे अपि प्रेमदर्शनात् पुत्रे पुष्टे नष्टे च अहमेव पुष्टः नष्टः च इत्यादि अनुभवाच्च पुत्र आत्मेति वदति. Good. Idanim, now, pratyagatmani idamidam ayamayam aropayati. In this pratyagatma, which is pure consciousness, what we just now called as Jiva Chaitanya, in that, different people superimpose different idam and then take that idam to be themselves. Pratyagatma is who they are. But then they are superimposing that they are not. And then taking that not self to be themselves. And the irony is, even if they call it idam means this, which is in very close proximity, that is called as idam. They call this idam, ayam. But still, they call it as aham. Idam means what? Something which is different from me. The very fact I am calling it as idam has to be different from aham. But the irony is, although they call it as idam and ayam, they think about that thing as aham. What is the first thing? This is called as Putra Aatma Vaada. But okay, let me make it mellower right in the beginning. Don't only keep it at Putra. Putra means progeny. It includes everything outside which this person takes as himself. It can also be called as Gruha Atma Vaada. Yana Atma Vaada. Yana means a car. Thinking or identifying himself with outside object so much that anything happens to outside object, any praise given to outside object, he thinks it is his praise. Anybody criticizing that object, he thinks it is his criticism. So Putra is one, but you should apply it to all outside things which are different from this Panchakosha. Okay, let us see. Ati Prakruta. Ati Prakruta, because other people at least started from this body. He is calling Ati Prakruta because this person has taken something outside this physical body to be aham. Ati Prakrutaha Atma vai jayate putraha. He is quoting from Upanishad also. There is one mantra which says, there is no difference between you and your lineage, means progeny. So this thought is there in him, even if I am not there, my lineage will continue. My lineage will give me that sukham which I am seeking for. And of course, there are different rituals which are done, Shraddha Karma, everything is through that lineage only. So this Shruti mantra is there, which says, there is actually no difference between Putra and you. You and Putra, it is almost the same. In Bhagavatam, there is a story, right? I might be mixing up the names, but let me see if I can remember it. Romaharshana Rishi, he was giving this Bhagavad Saptaha. He was doing this pravachan. And Balramji comes there. And he does not stand up. Romaharshana Rishi, he does not stand up. And Balramji, in his anger, whatever that thought was, he just touches his hull, the axe, not that, the plow that he used to carry with him. And with that, Romaharshana Rishi is finished. Just with his plow, and he is finished. And everybody says, Balramji, what did you do? He was our teacher. He was busy in his Vyakhyana Katha. And he didn't even see that you had come. So then Balramji calms down. Balramji, had this temper. So he calms down and he makes his son. His son is Sutji. He installs his son as the teacher and quotes the same Upanishad mantra. Atma vai putro jayate. There is no difference between progeny and the lineage, father. Just take the right meaning. Don't stretch it somewhere else. These Puranic stories work both ways. If you take the right meaning and carry on, it is good. I won't say this in a Balvihar class, but we are sadhakas. We should take the right meaning. Okay. Atma vai putro jayate. Ityadi shrutehe. So Shruti quotation he gave. To prove what? That Putra itself is Atma. Not Shuddha Chaitanya. He says, I means Putra only. Why? Reason is giving. Yukti now. Swasminyava putre api prema darshanat. There is love which is seen towards the progeny as though it is his own self or her own self. Swasminyava. Just like we love ourselves, in that way this person loves progeny, child. Putre pushte nashte aham eva pushtaha. If anything, the child accomplishes. Child wins a medal. He feels as though he has won a medal. Child is performing very nicely. He feels, I am performing very nicely. Putre pushte aham pushtaha. Nashte. If somebody scolds the child, he feels, I am getting scolded. Somebody corrects the child, he feels, I am getting corrected. Why? Because aham is in putra. That is this line. Putre pushte aham eva pushtaha, nashte cha aham eva nashtaha. Ityadi anubhavacha. This is, experience is there. What was the yukti? Logic was swasminyeva putre api prema darshana. That is the yukti. All three things we should notice. Why it is important is, later on, all these three will be refuted. When Vedanta Darshana comes, Swamiji will give quotations to refute each of the Shruti mantra. So just appreciate which one is Shruti, which one is Yukti, which one is Anubhuti. Shruti mantra was Atma vai jayate putra. Yukti was Swasminyava putre api prema darshanat. He loves this child as though he is loving himself. And Anubhuti was whatever child accomplishes, putre pushte, he feels he is accomplished. Unless there was aham buddhi in putra, he would not have had this experience. And child is getting scolded or some other anubhava, he feels he is going through that anubhava. Okay, so this is anubhuti. Now if you want to find examples of this, one is Laukika example you can find, but Pauranic examples are safe examples. You will notice the point, get the meaning also. One example is Dronacharya ji. His love for Ashwathama was so much that he tells Drupada when he goes for the first time, right, to fight with him. His whole thing, enmity with Drupada, was because of his love for Ashwathama only. He had gone to ask for a cow, Ashwathama had said, and Drupada, out of his arrogance, insults him. So he says, I will show you what it means to be equals. That's what Drupada says, right? Friendship can be only between equals. He says, half of your kingdom I will take and half you keep, and then we will fight. And finally, you know how Dronacharya's end comes also. He hears that one statement, Ashwathama hata. And if you just see from a dharma standpoint, he is the commander of the army. He is one of the most important person in the army. And because he hears the statement Ashwathama hata, what does he do? Drops everything and sits for yogika samadhi. Through his yogic power, gives up his physical body. That is this Putra Aatma Vaada. Aham is in Putra. Now on the other side, you see Arjuna. Arjuna also got this news that Abhimanyu has been killed. But his spirit was, this is Dharma Yuddha. I will still keep going forward. The main lesson to learn from their, character is they didn't have misplaced aham. Whatever is meaning of I, it was not so misplaced that their dharma becomes affected. It was not so overpowering that they would not see what is right and what is wrong. And actually speaking, this kind of objectivity is needed even for healthy parenting. If a parent always feels the child is always right, they will miss out on those opportunities to correct, miss out on opportunities to guide. So some distancing is always needed so that we can objectively look at and also guide. So this portion was Putra Aatma Vaada. He is having his aham in Putra. Now comes Charvak darshan. Okay. They say, Putra Aatma Vaada, there are some flaws. What is the meaning of Atma? He says, body is Atma. This first person, his Atma was, meaning of I was something other than body. It was somewhere outside. And we said include everything. House, car, whatever things, misplaced I is there. And again, I'm reminding this point. Vedanta is not naive. It is not criticizing any of these things. It is only saying misplaced identity to define ourselves will bring sorrow. If I define myself based on my house, define myself based on car, if somebody does not praise it, that whole day this person is thinking about, I did so many things, I called everybody home, arranged everything, not even a word. Not even a word. I remember in Gurudev's, in one of the book he writes, one devotee writes the incident. He went to one place where he was talking about 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga, staying in somebody's house. And this Amma, she put so much effort. Everywhere she put quotations, 3rd chapter. Karmani eva adhikarahate, ma phaleshu kadachan. All those quotations she put. Sita prajna lakshana. Everything. Sita prajna, 2nd chapter, but whatever main things were there, 3rd chapter she put. And 7-day yajna, 1st day passed, 2nd day passed, as though she is least concerned, whatever things are there, they are there, Gurudev is there. But after some time, she was, started thinking, 5 days have passed. I hope Gurudev noticed all these quotes, And she finally went and, told Gurudev that, Gurudev, all this, what do you have to say? Have you seen these things? Whatever I have put, did you see it? Gurudev said, it is good, but you have not seen what is 3rd chapter. I saw whatever you have put, but you have not seen what is 3rd chapter. Means, Mahatma telling this is out of love only. That if I define myself based on what other people are going to appreciate or praise, then it is such a dependent life that this person lives, and lot of roller coasters. Whatever happens outside, he feels it is happening to him. So Gurudev's best word was healthy relationship. Vairagya, he would say, is healthy relationship with everything. House also Vairagya we need, car we need, sambandhas we need. In what way? That you are here to travel this journey together, not control each other's journey. We are here together as co-travelers. Let us make this journey meaningful. Wherever there is space needed, so be it. And wherever there is a window to guide, so be it. But all of us are co-travelers. That is healthy perspective. We'll just read the 124th verse. Charvakastu Sava esha Purushah Annarasamayah Sava esha Purushah Annarasamayah Ityadi Shrutehe Pradipta Gruhat Swaputram Parityajya Api Swasya Nirgamadarsanat Sthuloham Krushoham Ityadi Anubhavacha Sthula Shariram Atmeti Vadati. Now this Charvak darshan is also called as Lokayata darshan. Ayata means that which is very well spread. If you take a vote anytime between all darshanas, Vedanta is there, Yoga darshana is there, Sankhya is there, Vaisheshika is there, and Charvak is there. If you take a democratic vote, Charvak darshana will beat all other darshanas. Because maximum followers will be from Charvak darshana. That's why it's called Lokayata. Lokayata means that which is very widely spread amongst people. And I tell you, by the time we look at this darshana, right, even Vedanta students will start thinking, this is so practical. This Charvak darshana, it is so good. This is what we have to teach. What Vedanta and all we are studying. See, in the next class, I will show how it works. Charu Vak means that. Charu means sweet. Vak means speech. That speech which looks very appealing. That speech which is very convincing. That is Charvak. But as I said, Vedanta student is the one who will take the good from all darshanas. The very fact it's a darshana means there is deep thinking behind it. It is not just some casual opinion. Rishis have thought about it. So that part we should take and benefit. Okay, what are those things? We will see in the next session. If there are any thoughts or questions, you can either put it here. If you put it ahead of time, then I know there is a question and then we can give time appropriately. Maybe from the next session we can do it. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everyone. Good to see all of you with your videos on. Hari Om. Hari Om.